Hi there, I'm Sheetal and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for your overwhelming response to part 1. In case you haven't watched it already, do click on the link in the description box. Today we have with us Dr. Prashant Kumar S. from Cloud9 Bangalore. He's a neonatologist and a pediatrician and has been my children's pediatrician for a very long time now. He's someone I trust and depend on to give me the right answers when I have too many questions. So let's all welcome Dr. Prashant here.
Good morning. I am Dr. Prashant. I work as a pediatrician at Cloud9 Hospital. The outset, I would like to thank Ms. Sheetal for having me on this question answer session on the current hot topic, COVID.
Thank you so much for joining us today on this episode. So without wasting any more time, shall we start? This may be a little strange one, but I've heard a school of thought that says we should let our children get COVID-19. That will increase their immunity and make sure that when a probable second, more deadly wave comes, they are not affected much. By then, their body would have created that immunity to fight it off. They're all drawing parallels to the Spanish flu and the second wave that came with that. Does this idea hold any merit? Should we be letting our children get COVID-19 to kick them stronger for the second wave?
Interesting question. So only time will tell. But ethically, logically, there is no way we can do that. The purpose of lockdown itself is that, you are trying to protect this high-risk population so that, we call ourselves as a not exposed population. Suddenly when it attacks, we call it as a virgin population, where the community doesn't have any immunity against a particular thing. So when it affects, the impact will be really, really bad. The mortality, morbidity will be huge. So there is no way we can say let me get immunity by getting infected it. At this point, it is, I don't think that's the way to go forward. But like I said, that's the only way we can get over this disease. At least 50, 60 or 70% of the population gets exposed to this, not in a single manner. Not at a single phase, in a phase-wise manner. That's when we are going to get the herd immunity or the immunity in the community that's going to protect against other people having the disease. The herd immunity is very, very important. It plays a big role in getting over this communicable. Most of the communicable diseases have been dealt in the same way. So yes, until all of us get an immunity against this deadly virus as of now, so we are not going to get out of it. But if you ask me, is it better for a kid to get COVID-19 positive now so that he will be protected in future? It is too early for us to say. Unless we know that it's going to be safe to have the infection. I don't know how many of us are asymptomatic with the current infection, but yes, it might not be a good thought at this point because we don't know. There are cases of recurrence, relapse, in the sense someone who has recovered it again they are coming with the same positivity. That means it's going to come back again and again. So there is no way you can say if I get infected now, I am immune to it against for next 1 year, 2 year, next 2 years. So we don't know. Because in China and most of the countries, there has been a cases of recurrence. Someone who had diseases recovered and again is coming back with the disease. So this concept that, get immune to it so that you will not get it again, at this point doesn't hold true. Yeah.
Is it safe to give antibiotics and other medicines like, say, Crocin or ibuprofen and things like that to children? Does it in any way increase their risk for COVID-19 or reduce their immunity?
See, antibiotics are mainly aimed at treating a bacterial infection. Here, the COVID itself is a viral. It's in a small kids, especially taking the background of current situation, it's very, very difficult for us to, go through in detail throat examination. In fact, the RCPH guidelines says avoid throat examination to a larger extent because that's when you get exposed to the, droplet infections and all those things. There has been strict guidelines when to examine, when to not examine. Because we have to keep in mind also how we are going to protect ourselves as well as healthcare professionals. So giving antibiotics is not going to affect child per se or with relevant to the COVID-19. If the suspecting a bacterial infection in a baby, definitely you have to give the antibiotics. It's not going to have any impact on the virus as well. So it's not going to change anything. So it is like I was telling earlier also, it is a relatively new virus. We really don't know much about this virus. When I say virus, how it actually is causing the damage, what pathophysiology we call it, whether it is causing inflammation, whether it is causing the coagulability, whether it is causing hypercoagulable, or whether it is making organ damage in a different way. We really don't know. So certain studies or say like certain case report says there has been a tendency for them to go for coagulation abnormality, in the sense either it can cause clotting, which is not beneficial for the baby, causing clottings in certain small blood vessels in our body. So drugs like ibuprofen and all can be used with caution. I'm not putting it as a blanket, but yes, so certain drugs like anti-inflammatory drugs or NSAID is what we call the ibuprofen, or certain group of drugs can aggravate the chances of the clotting and thromboembolism. So there has been particular guidelines on to the healthcare professionals which all medicines to be avoided, which all medicines can be a little bit of aggravating for the, if at all there is a tendency for the coagulable state. So it's like don't have a assumption or thing like using antibiotic will decrease your immunity, or using certain medicines like paracetamol and all, they are perfectly safe. So using will reduce your immunity, or it might aggravate the complications of COVID-19. No, currently there is nothing to suggest that. As such, if you see the treatment, available treatment for the COVID is, apart from all the research, let's not go into that. Currently it is largely supportive care, controlling the fever with paracetamol, keeping the child hydrated. These are the current available things, or helping with the breathing and all these things. Apart from that, there is no any specific treatment as of now, apart from all these research oriented things. So giving antibiotics, giving paracetamol is definitely not going to affect the child's immunity. That's the first, not apart from COVID also, regular day-to-day life also, many people believe that giving antibiotic will have an impact on the baby's immunity. That's not correct perception. So they are safe to take unless your health professional says your baby needs that, they're safe to take.
Doctor, what are the things that we can give our children to build their immunity?
Okay, again, if you ask immunity as a general thing is totally different. If you ask immunity against COVID, it is something different. I believe we are going to get immunity against this COVID only by two ways. Either we are going to have a effective vaccine against it, or we are going to find some treatment for it, or we are going to develop a herd immunity. So these are the three ways we can get out of this COVID in the current situation. But apart from this, either getting infected or having an effective vaccination is the way forward. That is developing the herd immunity and having the effective vaccine. As far as in general immunity is concerned, yes. So having a healthy food, avoiding junk foods, playing in healthy environment, all these things is going to physical activity, avoiding junk foods, having a balanced food with most of younger kids, like less than 1 year and all, having iron, vitamin D and multivitamin supplements. All those things are gonna improve your baby's immunity, if not per se against the COVID. There has been Health and Family Ministry website also says consuming certain particular food items, again ginger, garlic, all those things, whether they are gonna improve the immunity and all. As a whole, it might have a benefit on our health, but if you ask in particular towards COVID, we don't know. So any food that's going to be effective against COVID, if that is your question, currently we don't have any evidence for that.
Will giving our children more of citrus fruits and vitamin C filled food items like that help them fight off COVID-19?
If you want me to answer in one line, might not. No. So yes, they have all those, all these things are antioxidants, vitamin C and all those rich foods are antioxidants. They are going to improve your immunity as such. The fighting capacity of the body will increase. Whether this will have any direct impact on fighting against the COVID, we don't know. Only time will tell. But no harm in all these foods. In fact, these are the healthy food habits. So you should be encouraging your kids to have all these things.
Doctor, now with this COVID-19 situation, should the newborn babies or expectant moms be undergoing any special tests or screenings?
As and when we are talking, the ICMR guideline says any expecting mother, someone who is going to deliver in next week, or say ICMR specifically say next 5 to 6 days, if they are coming from a containment zone, what the government has divided into, so we have to do the testing for that mother compulsorily. So if she turns positive, preferably she should be sent to a place where she can deliver safely, or the COVID designated hospitals. in case even if she had to be delivered in an emergency. There are certain guidelines to say if she is sick enough, better to separate the newborn. Nevertheless, always the priority should be given to the breastfeeding and all those things. But yes, so if you are someone is going to deliver in a week period and they are belonging to any of these containment zones, please check yourself before you going for the delivery. That's what the ICMR guidance. I think this was released in a week, 10 days back. I think 20th of April it was the guidelines were released. Anyone who is going to deliver or expecting to deliver in a week period, I think 5 or 7 days. So they are expected to go for the checking, especially if they belonging to that particular containment zone, even if they doesn't have any of the symptoms. Yeah.
A newborn baby is more at risk.
And there has been reports of transmission during birth. We have read so many 2-3 cases wherein the youngest baby which had corona or transmitted from mommy to baby, all those things. Yes, so there has been an evidence to say that it is affecting the newborns as well. We can say not too many cases we have heard of to say what is the percentage of disease in newborns that it can lead on to the serious complications or it can lead to the death of the baby or the mortality, what we call. But yes, definitely newborn babies are at risk. Currently the ICMR guidelines also say some mother delivers and she is confirmed to be positive, you can try to isolate the baby till she recovers. As long as she is better to isolate. So that indirectly says babies are at risk. So both the vertical transmission as well as how all of us are getting because of the contact, both have been identified in newborns. Definitely newborn babies are at risk of having COVID. So we cannot say baby is immune to the infection. We really don't know how much viral transmission transfer happens across mommy to baby. We don't know how much antibodies also cross across from baby to mother. So it is too early to say babies are immune to it. So it's babies should also be taken an utmost care of the same thing, because yes, newborn babies are also at risk of having the COVID. Yes.
Is there a difference in the risk factor for breastfed babies and bottle-fed babies?
Yes, there is been a big difference between the breastfed and bottle-fed babies as far as immunity is concerned, particularly because the one who is breastfed is always get the, I can say, ready-made protection from the mommy and the live things, the cells, the immunoglobulins, all those things which are totally lacking in the formula-fed baby. Always breastfed will score definitely more than the bottle-fed baby as when it comes to immunity against fighting against allergy, asthma, or having recurrent diarrhea and all those things. So when we have so many benefits of breastfeeding, let us believe that it will have an impact against the corona as well. So there is nothing to suggest that breastfed babies will be less prone for or more prone for having these things. Currently, whether the virus will get excreted through the breast milk or whether the if say some mother is having corona and she has developed the antibodies, whether feeding will help or indirectly protect the baby, currently we don't have any evidence for that. To say both either way, whether the virus will go through or the immunity will go through breast milk and protect the baby or gonna affect the baby. But nevertheless, even the current guideline says when mother is sick, COVID positive, if at all we are separating the baby from the mommy for her own health sake, the priority should always be breastfeeding. So yeah, breastfeeding is always better than bottle feeding. So wherever feasible, always that should be encouraged a lot, not just from the COVID point of view. There are innumerable benefits to both to the mommy as well as baby. So always breastfeeding should be the mantra for first 6 months.
Doctor, for children who have very dry skin or eczema kind of condition, this frequent hand washing and the kind of things that we have to do right now, especially, can have a very adverse impact. What are the things that we can do?
Yes, I agree with you. The kids with skin conditions, especially like eczema and allergic things, they are going to have a tough time because we keep asking them to keep washing their hands frequently and all. All these things will lead to more and more of a dryness of the hands. So the more dryness, more trouble for them. So, but that should not be the excuse for not keeping your hands hygiene or not washing the things. So make it a point, use a good moisturizer. When you are using soap, make sure you use a milder one and not the very harsh soap one which can peel off your skins and all. So milder soap, and make sure you use frequent moisturizer so that your skin is kept moist, skin is kept well hydrated. Otherwise this eczema and all, as such, there are chronic cases which are going to trouble babies on and on. So this is going to aggravate it. So skincare is equally important when you are doing a frequent hand washing. Simple good moisturizer which you keep on applying to the hand is going to take care of that.
Doctor, thank you so much for taking out so much of your precious time and explaining things so well and so nicely to all of us. You've been very, very graceful in helping us out in this fearsome time. If you like this video, please click on the like button. And if you haven't already, do subscribe to my channel. Stay safe.